slowly, incrementally increasing in Svalbard. It appears to be strong. But then again, if you ever look at sea ice over the course of a year, take 2003, 2004, 2007, any time in the last 2000s or even, say, recently, and you look at the sea ice and you look where, like, its winter extent and then where it shrinks, it's still where the cap remains in the summer is around the top of Svalbard, the top of Greenland, and the east coast of Greenland, bits over to the Canadian Arctic. That's where it's strong. Where it's losing is the top of Russia and top of Alaska. That just completely disappears. Totally gone. I think it was last year, the year before, sometime recent, the ice shrank to within, the sea ice shrank to within, I don't know, maybe 80, 90 miles of the North Pole. I mean, almost all the way to the North Pole. So this is where sea ice is relatively stable, if you will, and I use that term very loosely, in sort of the grand scheme of the Arctic. And which is good, because polar bears hunt ring seals on ice, particularly fast ice. That's their principal food source. So the bears here are doing okay. They figure their number is somewhere just north of 3,000, maybe 3,200. And you have to talk about, when people talk about polar bears, oh, the polar bears are all dying. Huh? Well, which population of polar bears are you talking about? There are distinct populations, probably 20 throughout the Arctic. Some are doing better than others. Some are doing worse. Tom Smith could tell you a lot more about this. Now, I know some things, but Tom Smith has been an actual researcher on polar bears for many, many years. But you must talk about the population. You can't just say polar bears in general. There is not a lot of mixing between polar bear populations. There's some, but not a lot. That's why they're populations. That's why they're distinct.
So when you say 3,200, you're referring to all the populations or the population here?
No, the population here in Svalbard, what's known as the Barents Sea population. When you're talking about worldwide, 20, 22, 25,000, something like that. Yep. But the latest figures for Svalbard, I think it was just north of I'm going to say 32, but you know, somewhere in that neighborhood, 3,200. Yeah. The ones in the north of Alaska and parts of Russia, they're probably suffering more now because they have a lot less sea ice. Those particular. There are a number of populations. I got some images that show populations, but Tom's actually, I mean, Tom's a true expert, and his friend Ian Sterling, who just wrote a book, is considered to be the world's top authority on polar bears. That guy's number one. He is asked by governments all over the world, you know, what's going on. I mean, he's the man. He's one of Tom's very good friends. So, I mean, in Tom, you've got a resource for polar bears that on a lot of expedition ships you will not find. You'll find people like me who know something, but don't have the knowledge that Tom has. And certainly when it comes to current information about populations and what's going on. So, I mean, I'd ask him, but population here is it's in pretty good shape. Yep. You know, and you see these pictures like, you know, the poor polar bear, he's on an ice floe and he's looking at the water, you know, a long way out to sea. These things are incredible swimmers. They swim for days, hundreds of miles. You know, they don't want to do that, you know, but just because a polar bear's in the water doesn't mean that it's in trouble.
Are they able to catch prey in the water?
Most of the time, that's kind of an interesting question. I've seen them in the water, then taking prey that's on the ice. I have seen them, mostly though, they take it from the ice. They go to ring seal breathing holes. And ring seals, one ring seal may maintain a series of breathing holes. This is also the place where they will pup. And so you have fast ice and a hole that they use their claws, unlike the Weddell seals in the south, which use their teeth. These use claws, the claws on their flippers, and they keep these holes open. And in that sea ice, they'll have a dome of snow over it. And between that, that's where they'll birth their young. That's what the polar bear wants. And the polar bears and these seals are incredibly aware of this. Tom is even more than a polar bear expert, he's a ring seal expert. He really knows. He's studied them for years, written a number of scientific papers. And I mean, what I learned from him. And what I've seen. And the polar bears, they will sit in one spot, you know, for a while. And they'll be in a position where the sun doesn't cast a shadow over that hole, because as soon as the ring seal sees a shadow, it's gone. And the moment they get their chance, they will break through that